Hello, hello, beautiful people. So actually, this is my second attempt trying to go live. The tech is playing us today, but we're not gonna let it happen. And we're not gonna let it discourage us because we have planned a great conversation with a standout and an amazing guest tonight. So we will do whatever it takes to make it happen. So if you are just joining us, and I'm checking, yes, it's working now on LinkedIn and everywhere else. So wonderful. Welcome here. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, where you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to this new live show, Stand Out From The Crowd, with me, your host, Darine Ben Namara. And this show is dedicated, to talk about topics that matter to us professionals, leaders, entrepreneurs, to help us stand out from the crowd and live the life that we had envisioned for ourselves. And today's live stream is special because I am pleased and delighted to be interviewing a guest that I have been following for so long, that has an inspiring story, and that who had the kindness and the willingness to come here on my show despite the 10, 12, 14 hours of difference. He is on the other side of the world, but listen, it is all worth it. So welcome, and let's welcome our amazing guest, Ahmad Iman.
Thank you very much. It's an absolute pleasure, and thank you for allowing me to join in.
Thank you so much. So we are live for the second time here. So we had a beautiful intro, and I will of course share the replay with you because I was very inspired by our guest today. And what we're gonna talk actually, it's about how to build influence. And we are not talking about being an influencer like based on Instagram standards. And I know, Ahmad, that you like, having fun with creating content like Instagram influencer being like versus, influencers, leaders.
Yeah.
And this is what we are going to talk about today. Your story is very inspiring, and I can see myself in your story. Your parents decided to move from Egypt to live in beautiful Australia to build a better life, a better future, and to turn their dreams into reality. And I'm an immigrant myself. I moved to Canada. I was 23 years old, so it was my decision. And I know how it feels when you know nothing. I didn't speak English at this time. And you have to accommodate yourself to learn new culture, to find a new balance, to find a new meaning to your life. But then how, as immigrants, who made it, being successful in our own way, how we can then build influence and use our power to inspire and impact other people's lives. So this is what we are going to talk about today. And welcome. Leave your comments in the comment sections. If you have any questions for myself or for Ahmad, please leave a capital Q so we can differentiate your questions from the comment, and use the comment section to introduce yourself, to network, to your best friend, your next employers, employee, collaborators. Next opportunity may be here today in the comment. Okay, so as we get started, let us know from which beautiful country you are joining this live conversation. Ahmad, where do we get started? Let's get started with the beginning. So do you have any memories? I know you were very young, but do you have any memories from this big leap of faith, this big jump that you took with your family members moving to Australia?
I have a few brief memories because I was very young. I've got a very short memory of my time when I was under 4 years old in Egypt, and I've got a very short memory of my grandfather who has since passed away. And I also have a very vague memory of what it was like when we actually were here. I don't actually remember traveling on a plane or anything like that. But I remember when we first moved here, we lived in a motel for about 6 months. It was
Wow.
just a very small one-bedroom motel. And the memory I have is my mother. She would feed us all by making a big plate of scrambled eggs, and she would put it in the middle of the table. We would all stand around and just share that one plate of scrambled eggs. So it's funny the weird things that you remember, but that's what I remember of my time when I was about 4 or 5 years old.
Wow, that's amazing. And that's amazing. And those very humble beginnings, but then they are like part of the beautiful memories that you have kept and built along the way. So now, growing up, did you have this vision of impacting people's life? Was it something that was in you? You knew from within that you wanted to make a difference in people's life, or it is as you were like going through your own journey that you realized that you had some skills, or that you can use your stories to impact and influence people?
I always wanted to do something bigger than me. And I always had that inner drive to do it, but I had no idea how it would happen or if it would happen. I didn't understand that the middle part of the journey. But I certainly didn't have the skills initially. So initially, no. Initially, I was very shy and awkward. And I talk about that often to try and encourage people because, I'm no different to anybody else, truly. I'm just someone that has learned the skills of communicating, of presenting, of speaking, of articulating myself. And that has allowed me to then spread my message. But no, it wasn't as obvious earlier on in my childhood and in my schooling. But it's amazing how life works out. If you put yourself in the right positions, if you challenge yourself and you surround yourself with the right people, you end up being on that path regardless. So it's testament to growth, personal growth.
Personal growth, yes. And I understand. I used to be shy. I used to be very, very shy. And for those of you who are very shy, the amount of energy actually that you use in order to hide yourself from the world, hoping that no one will come to see you, no one will talk to you, that no one will ask you questions. Those are the things that you spend so much energy trying to
Yep.
avoid. And now,
Yep.
when I'm on the stage delivering a keynote, this is where I feel alive. And when I tell people my story, they were like, "Really, you were shy? You don't look like a shy person."
I get the same thing. And look, there's also a big distinction between shyness and introversion, right?
Mm,
Because I get people assuming I'm an extrovert all the time because of the things that I do, because you see me presenting and speaking and content creating, but I'm actually an introvert. And the way I like to explain it is the difference between introvert and extrovert is purely just energy. And it's the way that you recharge your batteries, the way you recharge that energy. And the best example I was ever given was actually by Jim Quick, who I had the pleasure of interviewing. And he said this, which was just brilliant, a great way to describe the difference between introvert and extrovert. He said, an introvert will wake up every morning with 5 gold coins. Okay. And every single time they speak to someone throughout the day, they will give that person a gold coin.
yeah.
And so at some point throughout the day, you have no more gold coins left. You're drained of your energy.
Mhm.
Whereas an extrovert is the opposite. An extrovert will wake up every morning with no gold coin.
Mm-hmm.
And every single time they interact with someone, that person gives them a gold coin. And so they finish the day with a whole bunch of gold coins, a whole bunch of energy because they've been interacting with people. And that's the best way I can describe my situation. So I'm happy to speak on stage and present and create content, and I get an absolute buzz from it. I love it, just like you. But, afterwards, I'll need to have some quiet time to myself and recharge my batteries. And that's what I do.
Wow, I have never heard actually, put it this way, and that's so true. That's very true. So before we dive into the next questions, let's take a look at our amazing people here. We have Wahib, who says, "Good evening, Wahib. I know you. You are from Toronto, Canada." Bernard Orozco, hi, good evening. Tell us where are you from? Oh, see, people are already networking. Usama Zaid say, hey, Bernard in the house. So you people, you know each other. So go, let's enter, let's connect with one another. Usama who says, my favorite influencers, Ahmad Iman and Doreen Vanamara. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
brother.
That's very kind of you. Lona, my dear Lona. Hello, Doreen. Hello, Ahmad. Hi, Lona.
Hello, Luna.
Welcome on board. Lydia. Good evening, Doreen and Ahmad. Greeting from
There you
Costa
go.
Rica. Beautiful Costa Rica. Beautiful country. Beautiful
Beautiful
weather.
place.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes,
We
absolutely.
love it. Vancouver. Hi, Adil. Welcome from Vancouver. Who else here? So you are from Cyprus. Okay, wonderful. That's the first time actually I welcome someone from Cyprus. That's beautiful. We have Canada, Mark Lauren, Canada in that place. So people are
Canada in the
networking.
building.
Canada, oh yeah, Canada. I'm based in Toronto, Canada. So we are here.
Yeah.
We represent. Yes, people.
You're
Yes.
representing. There we go.
Okay, so I see all of you networking, introducing yourself to one another. Who else is in the house? Word of wisdom. Thank you so much, Osama. Kisha, hiding is definitely a thing.
Well, it is now, especially now that we're on lockdown. Well, Sydney's on lockdown at least, so we've got no choice but to hide.
Wow, right? And I think, the fact that we got no choice but to hide from one another, actually, it allowed us to recenter and to reconsider what is important, what does matter in life. And I think this is my experience, and I would love to hear it from you, Ahmad. Like, now more than ever, we realized how much we need each other's.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, if there's been any positive out of this pandemic, it's the fact that it's brought us together. It's the fact that it's inspired connection, and it's given people an opportunity to just pause and press that reset button and say, what exactly am I doing right now? Am I enjoying what I'm doing with my life? Am I in the right career? Am I in the right space? Can I be impacting any other way? And I know so many people that have transitions, transformed, transcended, just because they've had that time for introspection. They've had that time to give thought to their careers and what space they're in, and spend more time with family and connect with friends they haven't connected before. Even though we can't see people face to face, we can definitely do this, which is more or less the same thing. So it's been a tough time for everyone, and it's still a tough time for people in my country. 3 states in Australia right now are in lockdown, and Sydney is going to be on lockdown probably for the next 4 to 5 weeks. So a lot of small businesses are suffering, unfortunately. But yes, with every challenge, there is usually an opportunity.
Yeah, right. And this is what history has shown us over and over and over again. In every crisis, actually, there is something good, even if it's hard in the moment, but there is always something good that comes out of it. And if you are going through a tough time, hang tight, because you will see the light at the end of the tunnel. And that's maybe an opportunity for you to do something different, to shift, to transition, to follow your guts, your passion, something that you never thought would be possible maybe before. So that's, yes, an opportunity in disguise. And we have Carl Sean here, Watkins. Hello, Doreen, stopping by to show some love and enjoying the conversation.
Hey, Carl.
Thank you so
and
much.
I actually saw a comment from Carl saying, people are changing their dynamic. We are getting back to the basics of humanity, and it's so true. Like we're quite literally getting back to being human again and doing human things, as opposed to getting bogged down by the daily hustle. We're starting to remember what it is to actually experience life and be present in the moment, and that's a thing. That's a beautiful thing.
And I want to say it was about time, because I feel like we were all caught up, you said it, in the hustle, the grind. And, we were like in the rat race, always running, chasing something, chasing the dreams, chasing the job, the money, the opportunity, always. And then, poof, You realize that everything you took forever for granted is not here anymore, right?
So true.
and
Yeah.
and yes, it was about time. So I see a lot of comments. Yes, I see your comment here. Wonderful, everyone. I see you people, you keep networking, so this is your house.
Good to
Use
see.
it. That's amazing. I love it. I have an amazing community, and I know you have a wonderful community, Ahmad. So let's talk about it now. Let's dive into it.
Let's do it.
Building
Yeah.
community and building influence. So how would you define influence?
I keep it as a very simple definition. Influence is having the ability, the inner ability, to lift people up to your perspective.
And how do you know? How do you know? Do you have it, like, does it come from the inside? Do you have to work on it? Do you have to have the intention to wanting to make a difference? Like, what was the aha moment for you when you knew, okay, now you had this desire but you didn't know how to manifest it, right? But what was the aha moment when you know, okay, you know what, this is it, and this is what I'm gonna do, this is how I'm going to do it?
I would say it came down to three things. It comes down to intention, like you mentioned. It comes down to conviction, and it also comes down to confidence. Right? You have to have the confidence initially to be able to put yourself out there and identify your voice and not care about being judged, not care so much about what people think of you and all the superficial things that we think about in terms of our insecurities, but just parking that and saying, you know what, I have a message that's far more important. I know people can benefit from this message. So instead of me being selfish and just thinking about me, I'm thinking about everyone else and how they can potentially benefit from what I have to say. And so for that reason, I've got an obligation to share that message. And it comes down to intention as well, because influence can be both positive influence or negative influence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can talk about many names throughout history that were incredibly influential, but negatively influential.
Mm-hmm.
So intention is important. You know, why do you want to influence? Influence is not just about vanity metrics and numbers and popularity. Influence is about impact. You know, influence is about aligning with yourself and not being focusing on popularity, but focusing on being obsessed about being yourself. And that's what's very important as well. So conviction is important because if you believe in yourself, if you have aligned with the values within yourself and you're sharing that message accordingly, you can share it with so much conviction and so much certainty that people will listen. And that's always the case. In any situation, let's say an emergency situation, for example, the people that follow a specific leader is not because that leader has a title or anything like that. It's because that leader is the most certain person in the room. You know, they've got that conviction. They know exactly what to do because they live it, they breathe it, they believe it. And that's how influence works. And so when you align all those things, intention, conviction, and confidence, and you've got a message to spread that you know can benefit others and actually give value to others, it's unstoppable. You know, you're going to find your community regardless. You're going to find the people that actually believe the same things that you believe, and that's how community is built and fostered. And so when I talk about influence, like you mentioned earlier, I don't talk about it in a general sense that people think about it, which is you know, Instagram influencers and posing in front of a picture and things like that. I'm talking about using your influence for the greater good. You know, using the community that you have built and the following that you have to try and make this world a better place. And I see a few people doing that. I'd like to see a lot more people doing that, to be quite honest.
That's very true. And you said something that I think is really important, more especially today. Like, it's being obsessed with who you truly are.
Mm-hmm.
And with the with all the social media, we are in the era of social media, and social media can bring a lot of positive things but also a lot of negative things, right? We have seen it, we know it, there is no secret here. And there was this misconception for the longest time that you had to pretend to be someone else in order to be popular, in order to be influenced,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
influence for the longest time was associated, and it's still today, don't get me wrong, associated with being popular, with the vanity
Mhm.
metrics that you
Mhm.
mentioned, Ahmad, with all of this. And so, and I see it, and especially with the woman that I'm working with, like sometimes they feel like they are not enough, or their story is boring, or who the thing who the hell would you like to hear to their stories, because it's not fancy, because we are not traveling on a private jet and taking the pictures in front of the private jet with the Louis Vuitton bags and the red bottom shoes and all
Yeah.
of this.
Yeah.
Why people would listen to us? Why would people even like dare to engage with us if we don't
Mhm.
have all these things, which are like material things, right? And so,
Yep.
and I'm fighting against it, and that's why I connect so much with your content as well. And we need more people like this, like you, who are like, listen, this is my story, this is me, this is the good, the bad, and the ugly, and this is the best that I have to offer you, because this is me. And
That's
either
it.
that's
That's it.
it, right? So either you can relate to me, and we are building this amazing community together, like we are creating
Mhm.
this safe space, or where everyone can communicate and share and be who, whoever you are, or you just can pass along and move somewhere else. And I love that. And you're like very articulate, very clear about it. You're, listen guys, this is it, this is me. And I love it because and I noticed that actually. And I love it because you see so many people who pretend to be, because they do believe this is the way others would like to see them being, becoming, behaving, and all of this. So what do you have to share? What do you have to say to the many people who hold themselves back from being themselves, because they may believe they are not enough, or not good enough, not successful enough? Like, listen, success to you, success to me, success to everyone here watching is different. So what would you like to tell them?
Every single person you will ever meet in your life knows something that you don't know. Every single person. And every single person you'll ever meet can share many things about them, about their knowledge, about their expertise, about their experience that you don't know, that we don't know. Right. So I think everyone has that little insecurity. Some people have it more than others, that we are not enough. Or what if I put myself out there and nobody cares? Who's actually going to follow me? I mean, me, what do I have to offer? Everybody goes through that. Everyone. I
Yeah.
went through that initially as well. But you have to actually at some point take a leap of faith. And that leap of faith is, in this case, putting yourself out there, perhaps, and creating content. Just literally picking up your phone, holding it horizontally, pressing the record button, and speaking your truth. And that might be how your very first piece of video content comes along. But it's so important, especially in this professional landscape that is LinkedIn, and in the workplace. We're used to putting on this professional mask, which almost becomes this character in terms of how we speak and how we talk and how we like to be perceived, and all of those things. And it's very dangerous when you fall into that habit, because you actually lose sight of of who you are, of your personal values, of things that you like to share, of communities that you can actually build and give value to, because you generally believe the same things as each other. There are so many benefits there. And to your point earlier about influencers, the word influencer actually started off in a very positive way. Like when you think about influencers throughout history, and I'm talking about, influencers that have passed and influencers that are present, people like JFK, people like Oprah Winfrey, people like Tony Robbins. These are all people that had genuine influence. And when you use the word influencer, they were the people that you thought of. Inventors, sophisticated entrepreneurs, really powerfully impactful people. And at some point, yes, that did transition into what we have now as a perception of influencers, which has been brought out as a result of the Instagrams and the YouTubes. And yeah, I'm going to pose in front of my Ferrari because people like to think I'm successful.
Mhm.
I've liked to flip that completely on its script. If anything, I make fun of that lifestyle. you know.
Yeah.
And thank God for a professional platform like LinkedIn, where you don't have to put on that mask or create that character for people to accept you. You know, this is all about sharing your beliefs and having people connect with you that share those same beliefs. And anyone that doesn't like you, anyone that doesn't resonate with you, they can change the channel, you know. And
Exactly.
I'm very open about that. Sometimes I'll even put out content that is so targeted or specific to my community that I know it's going to filter my audience. I know as a result of me putting it out, it's going to have people unfollow me that might not believe the same thing, and it'll have people follow me that actually do believe the same thing. So when it comes to creating content, especially, and this is what I tell my clients in terms of taking that leap of faith initially, because a lot of people are concerned about the way they look, the way they sound. Nobody likes the way they look on camera. Not many people like the way they sound. You
Mhm.
know, it can be hideous sometimes. You know, have you ever picked up your phone and turned on that front camera and gone, oh, you know,
Oops, hold
everyone,
on a minute.
everyone experiences the same thing. But what I tell my clients is nobody cares about what you look like.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about what you sound like. As long as you have a message that you know can benefit others, then you have an obligation to share that message. That's it. Okay, so when you start thinking about the fact that it's less about you and more about them, it'll give you that courage and that confidence to start sharing your content. And you don't need much to start. You know, literally all you need is a phone and a message. That's it.
That's
You
it.
don't need any fancy lighting. You don't need, you know, like a background like this that I have. I created my first piece of content in the passenger seat of my car. You know, so the important thing is just to get started,
Mhm.
take that leap of faith, jump and grow your wings on the way down.
Exactly. And to echo what you were saying earlier, Ahmad, Lona says influencer is being a leader and hopefully a role model.
Spot on. Yeah.
Yes, spot on. And actually, I like what you say. Like getting started, it's quite simple. And I was talking with a client actually this morning, and he was like, okay, I'm feeling some resistance, to start recording videos. So I focus my attention on the technical aspect of it, the lighting, the camera, the equipment, and all of this. And he acquired all of this, and he realized that the resistance is still here. So it had nothing to do with the equipment. And yes, Ahmad has a professional studio, but he works also in a professional studio, right? And
Yeah.
myself, my equipment is 2 weeks old, Ahmed. Up to 2 weeks ago, I was still
Yeah.
using this phone and
Yeah.
this tripod from the dollar
Yeah.
store. It's not even from Amazon, from the dollar store, people.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right?
You know, all you need is that phone and your message. And can I add, anyone that's hesitant about creating video content, you don't need to start off creating video content. You know, if you're just starting your journey, let's say on LinkedIn or on social media, and you want to start creating content, start off from the bottom and build your confidence that way. All right. So when I say start off from the bottom, you can literally just start by commenting on other people's posts. And technically,
Yeah.
that's content. You're adding value to other people's posts. And then you can advance from there. And what I would suggest is just lean on your strengths. You know, if your strengths are not in presenting or speaking on video and you can't really articulate your message that way, but you are better in articulating your message via text, via writing,
Mhm.
via articles, via blogs, then focus on that strength. I know many people on LinkedIn, especially, that have become really positive influencers and they
Yeah,
haven't put out a single video. Okay,
true.
so my advice is just lean on your strengths. I would encourage everybody though to at least try video once. You
Yeah.
know, and I can tell you right now, it's scary the first time. You know, I was terrified the first time. It took me an hour to record a 47-second video. You know, because I was self-conscious of the way I looked and the way I sounded. And after an hour of recording and re-recording, I just realized that done is better than perfect. And then
Exactly.
you release it, and once you start to receive a bit of feedback from the community, it starts to build that confidence, and you can
Exactly.
keep going from there.
Exactly. It reminds me actually one of my very first video. It was on YouTube back in time, and someone gave me a thumbs up, and I remember his comment clearly. He said, I give you a thumbs up for the content of the video, but the quality sucks. Like, find better way. And actually, I remember back in time, I was using books, a pile of books, and I had like an old camera, you know, the digital camera that we used to use before, to record myself. So it was blurry, and I was so shy. I was sweating, and yeah, like, if I found it, I will share it, and people won't believe even that it's me, right? Like, you would laugh at it. But we all got started somewhere. It's not because you see us today being comfortable and having fun, and you know, when we have technical issue, the way it happened to me at the beginning of this life, it's just okay. It's okay. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna find a solution, and then we're gonna keep the show. You know, the show must go on, and that's it.
The show must go on. Absolutely.
Exactly. And people, you would be surprised actually. And I know it now, and I'm sure it's the same for you, Ahmed, that people will be supportive. I remember the first time I had a guest on this live stream, I didn't know how to bring on the guest live.
They were just stuck in a green room.
Oh my goodness, for 15 minutes I tried, and then I was like, I'm so sorry, people. I don't understand this thing. I don't know. I could have tried before to test it out. And people were like, no worries, we can wait. We are here. We will wait. No worries. So people are very supportive and they understand the efforts, you know, that you are putting it in order to provide them value.
100%. And like I said, you jumped and you grew your wings on the way down. Right? You didn't know exactly what to do. You weren't an expert on going live, but you put yourself out there and you did the thing that is best to learn quickly and on the go, and that is just jump out of your comfort zone, leap out of your comfort zone. I like to say jump out of your comfort zone and jump into your courage zone, because it takes courage to do those things.
Exactly. And Charlene says hello, and actually Colleen Godfrey says, love this advice.
Thank you, Colleen.
Simple. Keep it simple, people. Like, keep it simple. There is no reason to overcomplicate, to overthink all the things. Like, simple is effective, and that's it. So now, if I'm correct, you have been active and consistent on LinkedIn for the past 2 years, right?
Yeah, about 2.5 years now.
2.5 years. And so you have grown, like, and you have been building a huge, engaging, like, beautiful community of almost 1 million people. So
almost. Thank you. I'm almost there.
Almost there. You are getting there. And if you don't follow Ahmad, please, and watching this live or the replay, please give him a follow, because his content is gold. You won't be bored 1 minute. And, you know, I check your profile to get my daily dose of motivation. Like, I'm telling you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so, when did you realize the power of LinkedIn? Did you start being consistent on LinkedIn because you were very aware of the potential and the things that you could build on the platform? Or you were like, you know, let's just give it a try and we'll see how it goes. And as you were growing your community and, you know, your presence, you realized, oh, okay, there is something here that I can do.
I actually got started on, you know, I think it was like MySpace back in the day. Do you remember MySpace?
I was very young, but I remember it, yes.
MySpace is probably before your time, but I mean, yeah, I remember MySpace being my first social media platform. I then went from MySpace to Facebook, and Facebook blew up. But I got sick of Facebook and what it became. I then went to Instagram, and I did a few things on Instagram, but I didn't quite feel like it was me, just because there was so much superficiality on Instagram, and you know, I just didn't resonate with it. And then I heard a few things about LinkedIn and decided to give LinkedIn a go. And when I jumped on, I had zero expectations, because, you know, all you hear about it is just a professional platform where you get together and network, which, you know, doesn't sound like the most exciting thing in the world. But I gave it a crack. I put out that first piece of content, like I mentioned, that first piece of video content, and I received, I think, about 120 views, not likes, just views. And I was over the moon. I was like, I can't believe 120 people took the time and committed to watching me in a video. Like, how amazing is that? And then some of them even took the time to like and comment. I was just blown away. So it gave me a bit of confidence to continue putting out video content. And the more and more confidence that I built, the more creative that I got. And
Yeah.
the more confident and creative that I got, the more I started to just release more about me and just completely be myself. And once I actually tapped into me, as in the real me, as in I became very familiar in terms of what my values are, in terms of what message I have, in terms of how I can best add value in the way I communicate and share that message, that's when everything changed. And I like to think that my content gives people permission to be themselves. And if there's one thing that I'd like to say I'm able to accomplish, I would hope that it's that, just giving people permission to be themselves, seeing my content and going, oh, wow, okay, you can be different on LinkedIn, and the topic of your show, the title of your show, Stand Out From The Crowd, that's what it's all about. It's all about differentiating yourself. And I've got a very good friend who's a branding expert, and he says the definition of branding is simply the art of differentiation.
Yeah.
And there's no better way to differentiate yourself than to simply be yourself. There's no one else like you. And I know it sounds cliche, but it's only cliche because it's been said a million times. And it's been said a million times because it's true. There's no one that can do what you do. There's no one that can show up in the way that you show up. And there's no one that can add value in the specific, unique way that you add value. And so once people align with that and they start putting themselves out there, their true selves, and talking about the things that not only add value, but talking about things that actually help them relate to humanity. Because at our core, we're not professionals or business people or sophisticated entrepreneurs. We're humans at our core. And so doing things like putting yourself out there and being vulnerable so that others can learn from some of your mistakes, learn from those lessons, being a mentor and allowing people to learn from your adversity, putting out posts that are just real, not talking about how incredible you are and how amazing all these accomplishments you've generated are. It's talking about the daily grind, talking about the climb to success. That's what everyone wants to know about. Talking about, the days that you have that are tough days, like how you get out of bed on those days, how you actually build the motivation to keep going. Talking about real things that happen, like mental health and bullying in the workplace. And, that's the reason I like to focus on kindness so much. Like, that's my core value, but it's what I want to give back to everyone the most. Teaching everyone at the core to just be kind to each other, and it starts by being kind to yourself. Yeah. Right. So, I mean, that's what I've done to build my following. And along the way, the more I've done that and the more I've tapped into me and that core message, and just being completely open to being vulnerable, I could care less about embarrassing myself or what people think. That's when everything shifted, and I started to find a community of people like yourself that started to believe the same things, and a very, very strong community. So I'm very blessed for what I've built, and I'm very grateful. And my advice to everyone else is just, like I said before, obsess about being yourself, and believe me, you'll find that right community.
Exactly. And you said it right. It's not like building your personal brand from it's not about being narcissistic. It's not all about you. You are the brand, but this is not about you. This is how you can use your story, your experience to help empower others. I like to say that a personal brand is powerful when you position yourself from a place of service. How do you use your expertise, your experience to serve others?
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is how you stand out from the crowd, because as you said, we need more people who have as a core value the need and the want to help others. And to help make a positive impact, no matter what it is. You don't have to have like dozens, thousands of followers, or a big community. One of my mentors used to tell me, listen, and you, when you go in a room, so now in a virtual room, if there is only one person, you must respect, acknowledge that you may have or you can have an impact on this one person. And this is already much more than most people do.
I've seen people with 1,000 followers impact far more people than people that have 1 million followers. And for that very reason, you can have 1 million followers and just be talking fluff and putting out fluff and sharing, funny YouTube videos. And yes, they're all feel good stuff, but are you really making an impact? Whereas there might be someone that has 1,000 followers that's talking about, mental health in a workplace, or how to be a leader in a changing dynamic environment, and actually provide some sort of gem or value that people can watch and go, that seriously helped. That's exactly what I was thinking about today. And that's impact, right? So, I mean, people confuse impact with influence, and they're very, very different things. But if you're able to use your influence and your visibility to impact, that's when you can seriously crack into it. And from a business perspective, like if anyone's watching this and going, yeah, that's all well and good, but how's that help my business? There is no better way to attract clientele and long-term loyal clients than building up a brand by giving out as much free value as you possibly can, right? Being that trusted resource in your industry, in your field, is not only you're going to reassure your existing clients that they picked the right person, but it's also going to showcase you to new potential clients that you are the main expert in that field. And so taking the time to build your brand initially and investing in that is a great way to also then level up your own business and your own lead generation. So there are so many benefits of this, and it's one of my favorite topics. I can talk about it forever.
Wow, and I have actually something to share with you about this. And Lydia says, our uniqueness is the greatest treasure we have received. Yes.
Agreed.
Be yourself, Luna says. Here, where did I? Oh, yes, here. Lydia again, who says, it's wonderful to know about your journey. Everyone has different kinds of struggles. Exactly. But you wouldn't know. And there is this thing where people like to compare themselves to others. And if we don't share our struggles, then people would think that our lives are perfect, when actually it's not the case. None of us, not one single person has it perfect out there. But I think it's a strength to be able to share it openly, to say, hey, this is what's happening, but tomorrow is another day, or I will figure it out, right?
You just have to be comfortable with your imperfection, and have the right perspective that every single person you meet is going through something, is having some sort of issue. They have some sort of insecurities. Nobody lives a perfect lifestyle. And if it appears they live a perfect lifestyle, then there's something seriously wrong. So we might as well just be open and just be completely transparent about our own situation. And that's one thing that I do actually admire and like about this pandemic time. It's given us a bit of insight into people's real lives. Like now, when you're talking to people, you're inside their homes with their families, with their pets. Like how many times have you been on a Zoom and someone's cat or dog jumps up on the table, right? Or you can see their baby in the background, or you hear one of their kids screaming from a distance. That's real. That's us. That's the real us. And when we leave every single day from work, traditional work from the office, all of us go home at some point and put on, comfortable clothes and play with our kids and play that family role, the father, the husband, the mother, the wife, whatever it might be. That's real. So there's absolutely no harm in talking about that and giving people some sort of value in any part of their lives that's going to benefit them. So that's where I'm coming from.
Exactly. And Karen says, be valuable and also be kind. And she says it, be kind and be vulnerable. Exactly. So before we wrap up, because we are already hitting the 45 minutes mark, there is one myth that I would like to debunk. And I know because you mentioned it that you like to talk about it. Providing, there is this myth actually that, okay, but if I provide so much value for free, people won't buy from me. Why would people hire me if I share everything I know? My response to that is, people hire you for the execution because they need a guide, because they need someone to show them the way. So what's your thought on that? That, okay, if you share everything for free, no one is going to hire you.
Yeah, my answer to that is, well, what's the alternative? The alternative is that you don't share anything and nobody knows you. But the idea is that you build trust. This is what this is all about. No one's going to do business with you. No one's going to resonate with you unless you have their trust. You know someone, you like someone, then you trust someone. Once you trust them, you buy from them, and then they repeat to buy from you. In a normal sense, if we're not talking about business, if we're talking about brands, building up trust for you and your brand so that people can, really resonate with what you do is the foundation of branding. So there's no better way to build trust than just giving away a whole bunch of free value and not asking for anything in return. But in return, you are becoming front of mind as an expert in your field to your existing clients and your potential clients in your audience. So it all comes down to trust, in my opinion.
Exactly. And so for the experts, CEOs, consultants, entrepreneurs who are watching the live or the replay and who would like to know more how they can work with you, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
LinkedIn. Look, feel free to send me a message on LinkedIn. I'm active on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Clubhouse,
Wow.
TikTok, and it's all at the same handle, at the Ahmad Iman. So feel free to send me a message on LinkedIn. Like you mentioned earlier, I respond to messages.
Yes,
I'm
exactly.
not one of those people that thinks I'm too important. I respond to messages. I love receiving them, and I'm happy to talk to new people and build new friendships.
Wonderful. Yes, because in the beginning that you missed, actually, the beginning of this conversation, I was saying I reached out to Ahmad. I sent him a DM, and I was like, I wasn't expecting so much because I know he's a public figure. And then within a few hours, he got back to me. He was like, hey, I would love to do it. Here's my email, so let's talk. So feel free.
Yep.
Do not hesitate, people. Please do not hesitate to contact Ahmed if you need support, or again, to follow him, to be inspired and get your daily dose of motivation. This is where I get actually all my motivation. My daily dose of motivation from your content, Ahmed. Thank you
Thank you, my friend.
so much. That was a
It's
real
absolutely my pleasure
to have you here on this show with me. Thank you for your patience with the technical issues. I appreciate it. And that's it. For those of you watching the replay, still leave your comment and question below. We read and answer all of them. So don't hold yourself back. And if you don't want to, leave a comment publicly, at least send us a DM and we will be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Ahmed, thank you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
You have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the other side.
Sounds like a plan. All the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.